back to contemporary Black voices. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Dr. Sheridan,
Yes.
how do you see this ending? I mean, can they keep doing it? Where eventually are we going to? They're pushing us obviously out of cities. And Washington, D.C. is a perfect example. They pushed blacks over into Prince George's County. And so now Prince George's County has taken on all the problems that they go with poverty. And so are other outskirts from the cities going to allow this to keep happening, or are they going to put up a battle? How do you see this ending, or is there an ending?
I don't see it ending. If you just think about the timeline from 1948 to present, and even before 1948, there have been laws put in place to where gentrification efforts can be, I'm going to call low-key efforts, if we don't move, and then escalated even more so down the line. For example, we've heard of the stories of highways, they won't move. We'll just put a highway through your neighborhood.
Right.
They have these covenant restrictions that we keep hearing about, talking about you can't have a dog in the front yard. This is a little off. You can't have a dog in the front yard after a certain time, or this and that and this and that. So these covenants will continue. And the other thing we got to keep in mind is when they start labeling communities as historical districts, that sets the stage for gentrification occurs more, because now this neighborhood has been labeled as a historical district. So the efforts were still there. And if you even go back before 1948, even though we may not call it gentrification, but it is what it is, they bombed Black Wall Street. They burned it down. They burned down a lot of black communities,
right.
Historically. Was that gentrification? I'm going to say yes, because they wanted those black folks to move somewhere else.
Yeah, one of the big arguments is that the reason for burning down Black Wall Street is because whites want to go in there and buy up that property and take it from the blacks. And a lot of that did indeed happen because they were not covered by the insurance.
Right.
So that happened. So, but where do you see what's going to happen if the suburbs, like let's take shirts, if they say, hey, wait, this is not working. San Antonio, you're sending all your problems to us, and we don't want them. We're out here living a comfortable middle-class life, and now you want to bring these people out here to clear up downtown through gentrification. What happens when that conflict happens? Unfortunately, we're always caught in the middle of it, aren't we?
Then they'll shift the rules again. There will continue to be a constant shift of rules. The area behind my house is where, can't think which pope it was, where a pope came to San Antonio, and that's where he had his mass, and there's a marker out there saying Pope so-and-so was here. Now, even though I live in a really nice neighborhood, and there's a lot of activity in that neighborhood, maybe 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, someone will say, this is a historical district, and we want these areas for whatever reason. And so the efforts to gentrify becomes put in place to where they start offering the monies and whatever to move those families out. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see an end in sight for it, because it's greed. It's greed.
Capitalism. There you go. There you go. Capitalism, greed. Yeah. And we suffer. That's why, I can't understand. I mean, we live in a system, but why do we love capitalism?
Well, let me tell you about a system that I think that did work for us as far as a black community. And it's working today, it's working now, which I think is the DeSoto area in the Dallas area. Okay, an all black area on the south side of Dallas, and you find that the majority of the people that live there are black. They keep their homes very nice. They don't decide to want to move away from that neighborhood. And in addition to that, their schools, for whatever reason, are dominating the rest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
But okay, that's a small segment. I think our job is to look at the larger picture. All of us are doing okay. We're doing okay. You know, top-notch writer, making plenty of money, New York Times bestselling list, professor, businessman. I mean, but it's not us that we have to be concerned about. It's the families and the kids that are getting run out of the communities because of capitalism. They could go and do that. They don't have the money to stay there.
But I think,
My
Fred,
question is, where are they going to go? How long is it?
So you know, so that's I have a little bit of a different take on it. So, and I think as far as gentrification goes, it's a younger demographic that wants to be closer to downtown, closer to the all the amenities that go along with being closer to downtown. And so there is kind of like this urban.
Folks.
It is.
So ain't black folks. That
No,
want to be
it
downtown.
is. It's a younger demographic.
Right.
They've kind of they're more environmentally conscious. They want to have access to public transportation. Sometimes they don't even have a personal vehicle. They're into Uber or Lyft, and so it's a different demographic. So they are displacing some of the older African American population in those areas, and so that's the problem. And that's the main one of the biggest problems with gentrification is it's taken affordable housing off the map. So we're not decreasing the number of people in need of low-cost housing. We're decreasing the inventory of low-cost housing. So that's the biggest problem with gentrification. In addition to older folks who are on fixed income losing their home because their tax bill has gone up from $500 a year to $1,000 a year to eventually they're faced with a $3,000 a year tax bill and don't know what to do with it. So again, you have people who are losing their homes, the tax liens, the seizures and stuff like that. So the problem with gentrification is taking the lower income houses out of the inventory. It's causing financial distress to older people or people who are on a fixed income. The other problem with gentrification is it diminishes our political power because now communities that were highly concentrated of an African American or minority population are now not able to send African American to city council. So it has political consequences as well that we need to consider that gentrification has effect on.
The other thing we need to look at is also the deculturalization effect. You have some communities where it had a strong African American presence in terms of businesses, whatever, right? But now with gentrification, it becomes deculturalized because people have been forced to move.
Yeah. And the other economic thing about it is it takes communities that have been empowerment zones for economic reasons. Those communities are no longer considered eligible for those empowerment grants because now they are in a different place economically. So it has a wide effect as far as displacement, as far as the resources that are available, as far as representation, and as far as displacing our populations that are on a fixed income. So my viewpoint, that's it. That's the problem. That
you
is
don't
the
have
big
enough
problem with
housing for them
gentrification.
now.
Right. They can't go anywhere.
And the capitalists, the greedy ones, don't care.
No,
See,
because
they're getting tax abatements also.
and Wall Street's buying up these houses in local communities and driving up the cost.
Open
I
door.
don't think the model that we have right now is a sustainable one in America. We don't, as you talked about, we don't have enough affordable housing.
Right.
We don't have enough for the fixed income people that we have. And we are slowly moving towards a place where the bubble is going to burst.
And when it bursts, what's going to happen?
And that's a good question.
What's going to happen?
In Wall Street, they're called REITs, the Real Estate Investment Trust.
Right.
And so
REIT.
REIT. So basically, they had massive pools of money that were put into these trusts that went around the country and bought up everything. That's why the property values soared astronomically, and even that displaced a lot of people and kept people from being able to obtain a home because these Wall Street came in and just bought everything.
And doesn't that disqualify a lot of our people? They drive up those prices. They can't afford
They
it.
can't afford it.
Some of them can't even afford to rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. They drove the car. They bought homes. They were buying brand new homes and putting them up for rent, taking them off the market. So these homes are not for sale, and they're putting these houses up for rent.
But I think that's what Charles was talking about when he talked about education. Even if you decide to buy, if you decided to participate in the capitalization of you making money, what do you do with that money? And how do you make it so that not only yourself, but the people who are around you can benefit as well? Do you buy another piece of property in an area where you're welcome? The
Well,
majority of the time, what we want to do as blacks is we want to move to the suburbs as far as possible, which is why I was telling you they don't want to move back to the inner city.
Well, I mean, the problem is, the people who sell their properties in the inner cities, some people are coming in and offering $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Right.
You can't do anything with that in the suburbs.
I heard
You
this
know what I
one
mean?
case where, I'm not going to say the location, the families were offered $400,000 for the homes. And these homes were built in the 30s.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, one thing that I didn't necessarily, let me put it this way. Why did he talk about the people sell their homes and they don't know what to do with the money? I mean, what point was he trying to make?
You know, if someone offer you $400,000, right, for a home, and you decide to move to an area that you think you can move into, well, technically, if you move out to an area where a house is worth $600,000, you might take that $400 and put it in that house, but you still got a mortgage payment. You know, you still have to figure out how to get that $200,000 to pay the house off, and if you don't have the job to pay it off, you may end up losing the house as well, or do what some people do in an elite area of town, where single family homes are designed for one family.
Yeah.
But you've got some people in some of those elite areas where there may be 2 or 3 families living in those houses,
So they can make the payment?
so they can make the payments.
What did he mean about, I think he was echoing what you feel. Talk about we need a leader. I wasn't sure where he was going with that.
I think that when, something that I've heard you talk about with the churches, we have nobody who's educating us. So if you talk about financial education, it's not happening in the schools, it's not happening in the churches, and then you go and you offer these people a chance to be able to sell their homes, have this money. What do they do with the money afterwards? If you don't know what to do with it, because finances, your money has no brain. You have to think for your money.
Right.
And if you can't think for your money, then that money's going to disappear from itself.
You say, oops, where'd it go?
Right.
Yeah.
Look, we're out of time on this segment, and
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's going to be hot topics.
Hot topics.
Ooh, I'm scared.
All righty.